Good morning, students. Today we have to continue our second chapter, and we were on page number 131, and we have to start from the preventive detention. First of all, let us just understand the meaning of the preventive detention. What does that mean? It means that the imprisonment of a person with the aim of preventing them from committing further crime or of maintaining public order. Means if a person has committed a crime, we have to stop that person so that he won't be able to commit further crimes. For this reason, the preventive detention is very much required. Or you can say that the person will remain in custody so that he cannot do further crime and his liberty is also stopped. Let's just understand more about preventive detention. Preventive detention means in case of a person is detained under preventive detention, he can be kept in custody for a period of 3 months without any trial. And such a person has the following rights. Number A is preventive detention does not mean that a person stands accused, as I told you earlier. It is only a precautionary measure just to stop that person that he is not doing any kind of crimes again. Next is detention beyond 3 months can be extended, and who has the right to extend that detention? Only by an advisory board which constitutes for the purpose and consisting of a judge of the High Court. C part is grounds of detention have to be specified, and the detainee informed of these grounds, he also has the right to make representation against the detention order. Now, but there are some limitations in preventive detention. What are the limitations? Number one is public interest. The authority or the state can take recourse to public interest and refuse to disclose the grounds of detention. And the second one is the power of the parliament. The legislature or the parliament has the power to specify the maximum period of preventive detention. Yes, students, your next right is right against exploitation. It covers your article 23 and 24, and as it is clear from the name that if someone is exploiting you, then you have the right to move in court. So your part 1 is article 23A. It states that freedom from slavery, beggary or other forms of forced labor. Means you cannot make a person slave or you cannot force someone in the beggary, and if someone is doing this to you, then you have the right to speak against it. Next is trafficking in human beings. Means buying and selling of human beings is totally prohibited, and it also prohibits use of women or girls for immoral purposes. Second part is article 24, and this article prohibits employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories, mines and other occupations. Means you cannot force a person who is below 14 to work in your factory because this is unlawful. Your next right is right to freedom of religion. Yes, students, your fourth right is right to freedom of religion, and it covers your article 25 to 28, and it indicates the following. Number one is all persons are entitled to freedom of conscience and right to freely profess, practice and propagate your religion. It means that all the persons have full right. If they want to propagate or they want to spread their religion, they have the right to do so. Number 2 is subject to public order, morality and health. Every religious denomination or any section thereof shall have the right. What kinds of right? A. To establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes. Means any of the religion, if they want to maintain any institution for their religion, or they want to open any kind of charitable institutions, so they have the right to open these institutions. Number 2, to manage its own affairs in matters of religion, means if they have any problem in their religion, so they can solve that particular problem by their own. Number 3 is no person shall be compelled to pay taxes for the promotion of a particular religion. Means nobody can force you to pay some kind of tax for the promotion of your religion. Number 4 is no religious instructions shall be provided in any institution wholly maintained out of state funds. Yes, your fifth right is cultural and educational rights. It covers your Article 29 and 30. And it also states that protection of minorities. Article 29 gives a section of the people, and it gives the right to preserve their distinct language, means we have the right to preserve our language, our culture. And if any of the person wants to take admission to any educational institutions which is maintained by the state or center, then you cannot be denied on grounds of religion or color or creed, and you will get admission to that particular institutions because you have the cultural and educational right. Now minorities and educational institutions. Next is minorities and educational institutions. Article 30 gives all minorities the right to establish and administer the educational institutions of their choice. Yes, students, your sixth right is right to constitutional remedies, and this right is also known as the very heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. And it covers your Article 32. And what does it say? It says that there is a right in India which states that a person can move to Supreme Court if he or she wants to get their fundamental rights protected. Means if you want to protect your fundamental rights, you have the right to move in court, and this right comes under Article 32 for Supreme Court and Article 226 for the High Court, and it is also known as the right to constitutional remedies. Friends, this is enough for today, so we'll continue next part in next video. Thank you.